The crystal chandelier above the dining table cast fractured light across my mother's pearl earrings. I watched the shadows dance against her collarbone as she spoke, each word precise as a surgical cut. "Flights are $2,450 each," she said, not looking at me. Her manicured fingers traced the rim of her wine glass. "If you cannot afford it, stay behind." The words hung in the air like smoke. Around the table, my family continued their meal, the soft clink of silverware against porcelain, the rustle of linen napkins, the low murmur of my father discussing stock portfolios with Uncle Richard. No one acknowledged what she'd said. No one ever did. I felt Aaron's hand find mine beneath the table. His calloused palm, warm and steady, grounded me to something real. Something that wasn't this suffocating performance of wealth and indifference. "The Maldives will be perfect this time of year," my sister Vanessa purred from across the table. She'd just returned from having her hair done, those ridiculous extensions that probably cost more than Aaron made in a month. "I've already reserved the overwater villa. The one with the glass floor and private infinity pool." My mother smiled. It was the smile she saved for Vanessa, the one that never quite reached me. "You always have such exquisite taste, darling." Exquisite taste purchased with someone else's credit card, I thought. But I said nothing. I'd learned young that silence was survival in this house. The Westwood Estate, my family's summer home, sprawled across 8 acres of manicured perfection in Connecticut. Old money. The kind that came with portraits of stern-faced ancestors and furniture that predated the Civil War. The kind that made you feel like you were always performing, always being judged by ghosts. I'd grown up in these rooms, but I'd never belonged in them. "Lena seems quiet tonight," Aunt Margaret observed, her eyes sharp above her champagne flute. "Is something wrong, dear?" Everything was wrong. But I smiled the smile I'd practiced since childhood. "Just tired from work." "Still at that little bookstore?" Vanessa asked, her voice dripping with false sympathy. "How quaint." Aaron's grip on my hand tightened. I squeezed back, a silent message, "I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay." Except I wasn't. My father cleared his throat. "Speaking of the trip, Lena, your mother and I have been discussing the family trust." The room temperature seemed to drop. I felt every eye turn toward me, even the ones pretending not to look. "Given your current financial situation," he continued, cutting into his steak with mechanical precision, "we've decided it would be irresponsible to include you in this year's disbursement. The money will be reallocated to family members who've demonstrated fiscal responsibility." The words hit like a physical blow. The trust. The money my grandmother had left specifically for all her grandchildren. The safety net I'd been counting on to finally break free. "That's not," I started, but my voice cracked. "Not fair?" My mother's laugh was crystalline and cold. "Fairness is a luxury, Lena. You're 28 years old, working retail, dating a," she glanced at Aaron with barely concealed disdain, "mechanic. Your grandmother would be horrified." "My grandmother loved me," I whispered. "Your grandmother pitied you," Vanessa corrected, examining her nails. "There's a difference." Aaron started to stand, but I held him back. His jaw was clenched so tight I could see the muscle jumping. He didn't understand families like mine. How cruelty could be served with dessert spoons and vintage wine. How you could bleed out internally while everyone smiled and made small talk about vacation homes. "The disbursement was going to be $60,000, my father said matter-of-factly. "Vanessa will receive yours, along with her own. Consider it compensation for the embarrassment you've caused this family." Embarrassment. The word echoed in my head. I'd embarrassed them by refusing to marry the hedge fund manager they'd selected. Embarrass them by choosing books over banking. Embarrass them by falling in love with someone who worked with his hands instead of manipulating numbers on screens. Embarrass them by existing as myself. And about the Maldives trip, my mother continued, as if she hadn't just pulled the earth from beneath my feet. It's a family vacation. 20 people. The resort requires full payment up front. She slid a piece of paper across the table. Your portion comes to $11,540. Including flights, accommodations, meals, and activities. I stared at the invoice. The numbers blurred. I'll wire it by Friday, Vanessa said cheerfully. We'll handle it this evening, my father added. Robert and Catherine already confirmed, Aunt Margaret chimed in. They went around the table, each one casually mentioning five-figure sums like they were discussing weekend brunch plans. And they were all looking at me. Waiting. I can't, I said quietly. Speak up, Lena, my mother commanded. I said I can't. Louder now. My hands were shaking. I don't have that kind of money. The silence that followed was devastating. It was the silence of confirmation, of a verdict rendered, of exactly what they'd wanted to hear. Vanessa pulled out her phone. I watched her type, her lips curved in a smile. Well, my mother said, standing gracefully, I suppose that's settled. The rest of us will have a wonderful time. Lena, you're excused. Excused. Like I was a child. Like I was nothing. I don't remember standing. Don't remember Aaron guiding me out of the dining room, through the marble foyer, past the portraits of ancestors who'd never wanted me either. I remember the sound of laughter following us. Light, casual, already moving on to the next topic. The November air hit my face like a slap. I gasped, breathing in the cold, trying not to break apart. Hey, Aaron said softly, turning me to face him. His eyes, those gentle brown eyes, were filled with fury. Not at me. Never at me. Hey, look at me. I couldn't. If I looked at him, I'd shatter. Lena. His hands cupped my face, thumbs brushing away tears I hadn't realized were falling. The gesture was so tender, so completely opposite of everything I'd just experienced, that something inside me cracked open. I sobbed into his chest while he held me in the shadow of my family's estate. Held me while I shook. While I broke. While 28 years of being the unwanted daughter poured out of me in gasping, ugly cries. I've got you, he murmured into my hair. I've got you. But even he couldn't hold together something so fundamentally fractured. By the time we got back to my apartment, a tiny studio above a bakery that my family called unfortunate, my phone had exploded. Family group chat. 73 messages. I scrolled through them with numb fingers. Vanessa, guess who couldn't afford the family vacation? Faced with tears of joy, cousin Michelle, maybe she should ask her boyfriend to fix some cars. Aunt Margaret, I always said she had delusions above her station. Uncle Richard, embarrassing for the whole family. On and on. A Greek chorus of judgment and mockery. Then I saw the Instagram post. Vanessa had created a story, a photo of the Maldives resort, captioned family vacation. Well, almost all of us face blowing a kiss. Some people have to work retail instead. Money with wings. Comments flooded in from relatives, family friends, country club acquaintances. Everyone knew. Everyone was laughing. My hands shook so violently I dropped the phone. Aaron caught it, glanced at the screen, and his expression went dark. He set it face down on the counter, then pulled me to the worn couch. They're not worth it, he said. They're my family. No. His voice was firm. Family doesn't do this. I curled into his side, breathing in his familiar scent, motor oil and cedar and something uniquely him. Safe. He was safe. I don't understand them, he said quietly. I've been trying to, for your sake. But I don't understand how people can be so cruel. It's all they know, I whispered. Money and power and making sure everyone knows their place. And your place is supposed to be beneath them? I didn't answer. Couldn't. We sat in silence, broken only by the periodic buzz of my phone. More messages. More mockery. The demolition of my reputation in real time. I need to tell you something, Aaron said finally. Something in his tone made me sit up. He looked uncomfortable, his fingers drumming against his thigh, a nervous tell I'd learned to recognize. I've been waiting for the right time, but there's never going to be a right time, and you need to know that. My phone rang. Unknown number. I ignored it. It rang again. Aaron nodded at it. Might be important. I answered, too exhausted to screen calls. Miss Westwood? An unfamiliar woman's voice. Professional. This is Catherine Chin from Hartford Memorial Hospital. Your grandmother is asking for you. The world tilted. Grandmother Eloise? My voice cracked. But the nursing home said she was stable, she's taken a turn. She's asking for you specifically. She says it's urgent. The hospital room smelled like antiseptic and roses. My grandmother had always loved roses. She looked smaller than I remembered, diminished by the white sheets and beeping machines. But her eyes, those sharp blue eyes that had always seen too much, were clear when they found mine. Lena. Her voice was papery. You came. Of course I came. I took her hand, careful of the four. She glanced at Aaron, standing respectfully by the door. Is this the boy? Yes, grandmother. Good. He has kind eyes. She squeezed my hand weakly. I heard about dinner tonight. My stomach dropped. How? Margaret called. Gloating. Grandmother Eloise's laugh turned into a cough. That woman always was a vulture. They all are. Grandmother, don't, hush. I'm dying, Lena. I get to say what I want. Her grip tightened. They changed the trust. Took your money. Tears burned my eyes. I know. They can't. She smiled, and it was fierce. The original document is in my safety deposit box. The one they don't know about. The key is in my jewelry box, the false bottom. Everything I have goes to you. Not them. You. Grandmother, they think I'm senile. Think I don't know what they're doing. Her eyes flashed. But I know. I've always known. And I'm fixing it. She pulled me closer, her breath rattling. In the box, there's evidence. Things your father did. Financial crimes. Hidden accounts. I documented everything. Her gaze found Aaron again. Protect her. Promise me. I promise, Aaron said quietly. Good. She relaxed back into the pillows. Now go. Before they arrive and make a scene. The lawyer's name is in the box too. Trust her. Trust him. She glanced at Aaron meaningfully. Trust yourself, Lena. I kissed her forehead, tasting salt and roses. 2 hours later, she was gone. The funeral was a performance. My mother in designer black, Vanessa in understated Chanel, my father playing the grieving son. They didn't look at me. Didn't acknowledge me. I was the ghost at my own grandmother's funeral. But I had the key. Aaron drove me to the bank the next morning. The safety deposit box was old, heavy, stuffed with documents. My grandmother had been thorough. Meticulous. She documented 15 years of my father's financial manipulations. Shell companies. Stolen trust funds. Forged signatures. Money that should have gone to charity, to family members, to me, diverted into his personal accounts. And at the bottom of the box, a note in her elegant handwriting, "Lena, my darling girl. You were always stronger than they gave you credit for. Show them." I called the lawyer that afternoon. Rebecca Morrison, one of the top estate attorneys in Connecticut. She took one look at the documents and went pale. "This is criminal," she said quietly. "This is prison time. What do I do?" She met my eyes. "You fight back." Aaron was pacing my apartment when I returned, phone pressed to his ear. He was speaking in a tone I'd never heard before, authoritative, commanding, nothing like my gentle mechanic boyfriend. "I don't care about the merger timeline, David. Push it back. Family emergency." Pause. "Yes, I'm aware of the stock implications. Handle it." He hung up, saw me, and froze. The silence stretched between us like glass about to break. "Who's David?" I asked carefully. Aaron ran a hand through his hair. "My CFO." "Your CFO." He sat down heavily. "I need to explain." "That would be nice." He looked up at me, and his eyes were filled with something I'd never seen before, fear. "Not of me, but for me. For us." "My name is Aaron Hartley," he said quietly. "My family owns Hartley Industries. Manufacturing, real estate, tech investments. We're worth about $2 billion. The room spun. I left when I was 22. Couldn't stand the lifestyle, the expectations, the way money made people cruel." He laughed bitterly. "Opened a garage under my mother's maiden name. Wanted to see if I could be someone real. Someone normal. 2 billion, I was going to tell you. That's what I was trying to say before your grandmother." He stood, hands raised like he was approaching a spooked animal. "I love you, Lena. I fell in love with you the first time you came into the garage with that beaten-up Honda, talking about books and looking at me like I was a person, not a bank account. That was real. That is real." My mind was racing. Aaron. My Aaron. Rich. Secretly, impossibly rich. "How long have you known?" I asked. "About my family?" "I suspected from the first dinner. Confirmed it after the second." He met my eyes. "I've been watching them destroy you, and it's been killing me not to step in. But you needed to be ready. You needed to be strong enough to fight them on your own terms." "I'm not strong." "Yes, you are." He crossed the room, hands framing my face. "You're the strongest person I know. And now, with what your grandmother left you, with the lawyer, with the evidence, you can take everything from them. But only if you want to." I thought about my mother's cold eyes. My father's casual cruelty. Vanessa's poisonous posts. 28 years of being made to feel small. "I want to," I whispered. Aaron smiled. "Then let's burn their kingdom down." Rebecca moved fast. Within a week, she'd assembled a team: forensic accountants, investigators, a prosecutor from the white-collar crime division. The evidence was damning. My father had embezzled over $12 million from family trusts, charities, business partners. My mother had been complicit, signing documents, hiding assets. The trust fund I was supposed to receive had been looted years ago. The money they gave Vanessa wasn't even theirs, it was stolen from other family members. "We have enough to prosecute," Rebecca said. "But there's another option." I leaned forward. "Full restitution. Public admission of wrongdoing. Complete transfer of your grandmother's estate to you, including her shares in the family company, which, it turns out, give you controlling interest." She smiled sharply. "You could destroy them legally, or you could destroy them financially and socially. Your choice." I looked at Aaron. He nodded slightly. "Your choice. Your power." "Set up a meeting," I said. "All of them. I want them all there." They came to the lawyer's office expecting a standard estate reading. My mother in her Hermes scarf. My father in his custom suit. Vanessa dripping in jewelry. Aunt Margaret. Uncle Richard. The whole toxic circus. They didn't expect me to be sitting at the head of the table. "What is this?" my father demanded. "Sit down," Rebecca said calmly. "Or we'll have you arrested where you stand." The color drained from his face. I slid a folder across the table to him. 15 years of financial fraud, embezzlement, and theft. "Would you like me to read the highlights, or do you want to go directly to the part where you stole $3.2 million from your own mother?" Silence. Total, absolute silence. "That's not," my father started. "It's all documented," Rebecca interrupted. "Signed, dated, notarized. Your mother documented everything. She knew exactly what kind of man you were." My mother's hands were shaking. Vanessa looked like she might be sick. "You have two options," I continued, my voice steady. Calm. The calmest I'd ever felt. "Option 1, criminal prosecution. Prison time for fraud, embezzlement, possibly more. Your assets seized, reputations destroyed. Every country club, charity board, and social circle will know what you did." "You wouldn't," my mother whispered. "Option 2, full financial restitution to everyone you stole from. Public admission of your crimes to the immediate family. Transfer of all property, assets, and company shares to me. You can keep enough to live comfortably, I'm not heartless." "But the dynasty? The empire? The Westwood legacy?" I smiled. "That's mine now." My father was gripping the table's edge so hard his knuckles had gone white. "You can't do this." "I already have. We're your family." The word hung in the air, family, and something in me hardened to steel. "Family doesn't charge their daughter $11,540 for a vacation she can't afford," I said quietly. "Family doesn't steal her inheritance. Family doesn't humiliate her on social media. Family doesn't make her feel worthless for 28 years. I stood, gathering my things. "You have 72 hours to decide. After that, the prosecutor files charges." I paused at the door. "Oh, and Vanessa? I saw your post. About the Maldives trip you took with stolen money? The internet remembers everything. Might want to delete it. Though honestly, the damage is already done." Her face crumpled. I walked out of that office with Aaron's hand in mine, leaving my family in ruins behind me. They chose option 2. The money came back. The properties transferred. I became the primary shareholder of Westwood Holdings, a position that came with respect, power, and a voice that finally mattered. But I didn't keep it all. The charities my father had stolen from received full restitution with interest. Family members who'd been quietly robbed received their money back. The trust funds he'd looted were restored. And the rest? I used it to start a foundation. For people like me. The forgotten children, the scapegoats, the ones told they'd never measure up. Scholarships, therapy funding, legal assistance for those fighting toxic families. My grandmother would have loved it. 6 months later, Aaron and I stood on the balcony of our new apartment, purchased with my money and his, equal partners in everything. The city sprawled below us, lights twinkling like earthbound stars. No regrets? He asked softly. I thought about it. About my mother's face when she signed over the properties. About my father's broken expression. About Vanessa's desperate calls that I never answered. No regrets, I said. I'd spent 28 years learning to be small. Learning to disappear. Learning that my value was measured in what I could never afford. But I'd learned something else too. That strength isn't about money or power or making people suffer. It's about choosing who you want to be when someone hands you the knife. It's about taking control of your own story. It's about knowing your worth has nothing to do with the number in your bank account and everything to do with the steadiness of your own heartbeat. My family had tried to put a price on my presence, $11,540. But I was never for sale. Aaron pulled me close, and I breathed in his familiar scent, still motor oil and cedar, still safe, still real. Behind us, through the window, I could see the reflection of two people who'd chosen each other not because of what they had, but because of who they were. And that, I thought, was worth more than all the Maldives vacations in the world. Some prices can't be paid. Some debts can't be settled. And some people, the ones worth keeping, will never ask you to choose between love and a number on a piece of paper. I chose love. And I chose myself.